Hi everyone, in this video we will do a complete and quick revision of simple interest chapter for CUET PG MBA 2023. Now before we discuss a few pointers, let us discuss some terminologies that we will always be dealing with. So there are three terms. The first one is principal. We will denote this with P. Then we have interest. Now since we are dealing with simple interest chapter, so this is simple interest. Okay, so we denote this by SI. And then we have amount, which we will denote with A. Now principal is the money which is borrowed or lent. So let's say you are depositing your money in the bank, so that money will be known as principal. Or if you borrow some money from, let's say, some other bank, or not from friend, because we don't generally pay interest to friends, so from bank or some financial institution, then that money will be also known as principal. Then we have simple interest. So this is the money, extra money, you can say extra money paid on principal. So this is always paid on principal. Now what is amount? So amount is the principal plus principal P plus SI. Okay. So P plus SI is the amount. So the money that is finally returned. So let's say you have borrowed some money from the bank for 2 years. So after 2 years, the money that you will be returning to the bank, that will be known as amount. And in that money, principal will be also there, but some extra money will be also there, which is known as interest. So I hope these terminals are clear. Now let us discuss the few pointers. Okay, let me go back. So these are some few pointers here. Simple interest is calculated on sum lent or borrowed, that is known as principal. Now every year simple interest is same. Now this is an important concept, we will discuss it later. Principal also remains constant. Amount is principal plus simple interest, we already discussed this. And SI is P into R into T by 100. Now we will discuss how this formula came. You must have heard this formula from your school days, right? So this is a very well-known formula, P into R into T by 100. Now, but we will not use this formula. We will see a logical explanation of this, and we will use that logic to solve questions fast, because this formula may lead you to some cumbersome calculations. So that is not at all advisable. Now let us discuss a few points here. So let me go to one more page. Now what happens in simple interest is, let's say you have borrowed 1000 rupees. Let's say you borrowed 100 rupees. Okay. And rate of interest, there is a rate. So rate is 20%. So let's say you borrowed for 3 years. Now for 1 year, your simple interest will be 100 plus 20% of 100, right? So that would be 100 plus 20% of 100. So this is 100 plus 20, 120. Now after 2 years, this would become SI would be, now this would be amount actually. This would be amount. Okay. This is amount. This is amount. So amount is 120 after 1 year. After 2 years, this would be 100 or 120 plus 20% of 100. So this would be 120 plus 20, 140. Now notice here, this thing is not changing, this portion. And what is this? This is the simple interest. Okay. So 20% of 100, again 20% of 100. And what is 20% of 100? 20 rupees. What is 20% of 100? 20 rupees. So same interest is there. Now after 3 years, what would happen? Again amount would be, this is the mistake that I'm doing. This is amount. So amount would be 140 plus again 20% of 100. So that would be 140 plus 20, 160, right? So in all three cases, we had charged an interest of 20 rupees. Okay. So same interest is always charged. So SI is always fixed. That is the thing here. SI is fixed. Now whenever a quantity is fixed, we can always apply unitary method, right? Now, for example, let me say we have a can of toffees. So this is a bottle of toffees, and there are 50 toffees in this. There are 50 toffees, okay? And we know that price of each toffee is say rupees 5. Okay. So if someone asks you what is the price of 10 toffees, so what you will do, you will take this value and you will multiply this by 10 and you will get 50 rupees, right? Similarly, if someone asks you what is the price of 40 toffees, then what you will do, 5 into 40, 200. Now why you are able to do this? Because you know that the price of each toffee is same, right? So you are simply taking the base value and you are multiplying this again and again, right? But can you do this? Let's take another case. So let's say we have a bottle of toffees. Let's say there are 3 types of toffee: toffee 1, toffee 2, toffee 3. There are 3 types of toffee. The price of this one is 10 rupees. The price of this toffee is, let's say, 20 rupees, and this is 30 rupees. Now if someone asks you what is the price of 30 toffees, now can you simply multiply this 30 into, now there are 3 types of toffee, right? You will need to know that out of 30 toffees, how many are of type first type, how many there are of type 2, and how many there are of type 3. Then you will take each number of toffees, then you will multiply by this number, and then at last you will add, and then you will be able to tell, right? Why? Because the price of each toffee is not fixed here, right? Not fixed. So you can't apply unitary method. Unitary method will fail here. Unitary method will fail. But in this last case, we can apply here unitary method. Unitary method is applicable. And unitary method always makes questions very easy, right? So similarly here, in all simple interest questions, we can apply unitary method. And that is the beauty of this one. Because this will make our questions very fast. And on what basis we will apply unitary method? We will apply unitary method on simple interest, right? Not on amount or on principal or something else. We will always apply unitary method on SI. Okay. Now let us derive this formula. So we have principal P, we have rate R%, and let's say we have time T. Okay. This is in years. So P amount of money is being lent or borrowed at R% per annum. This is for 1 year, okay? 1 year per annum, R% per annum. And this is for T years. Then let's say 1 year SI would be, 1 year simple interest would be R% of T, right? Because that is what the definition is. R% interest is charged for 1 year on P. So what will be the interest of 1 year? R% of P. What will be the interest of 2 years? 2 year SI would be, now as I have told you, this value is not going to change, right? So you can simply multiply 2 into this value, 2 into R% of P. Similarly for 3 years, 4 years and all you can do. So let's say for T years simple interest would be T into R% of P, right? Now if you open this, then you will get T into R by 100 into P, and if you rearrange this, then you will get P into R into T by 100. So that's how we get this formula, right? That's how we get this formula. But we will not use this formula. We will use these two, 1 year SI and T year of SI. So let me rearrange this. So what we will do is, we will use two things. First one is 1 year simple interest will be always R% of T, right? And for T years, SI would be R into T% of T. Okay. So for example, let me give you an example. Principal is 1000 rupees. Rate percent is say 10%, and time is let's say 5 years. And if someone asks you what is the SI, okay, so what is the simple interest? Now, obviously, you can go by that formula P into R into T by 100, but we are not going to use that formula. Okay, that is a school method. Now, what you will do is you will simply think that in 1 year 10% interest is there. So for 5 years, what would be the interest? 50%, because same interest is being charged for each year, right? So for 5 years we will have 50% interest, and 50% is always applied on principal. So 50% of 1000. So that would be half of 1500, right? So this is your answer. Now you can see how fast this is and how logical this is. In formula, you don't generally think of why we are doing this. You simply plug in the values and you get the answer. But here you are thinking logically that, okay, in 1 year I'm paying 10% on my principal, and since my interest is being same for all the years, so in 5 years I will pay 10% into 50% of principal, and that is the 500 value, right? So we will always use this approach only. We are not going to use the formula. And one more thing we will do is we will always think, let's say SI is given. Okay, SI is given, let's say 400, and your principal is 1200. If someone asks you, and let's say time is also given, time is given as, let's say 3 years, and you are being asked what is the rate percent. Okay, so in all such questions, what we will do is we will always think what is the SI as percentage of my principal. So SI is what percent of principal. You will always ask this question to yourself, and you will always approach the question in this way only. SI is what percentage of my principal. Okay, and what is that percentage? This is generally R into T percent. So 400 is what percent of 1200. So 400 is what percent of 1200. So from here we will get 100 by 3. So SI is 100 by 3% of my principal. Okay. Now this percentage is obviously being calculated over 3 years. So what is the value in 1 year? That would be my R percent, right? That is the definition. So for 1 year would be, you divide this by 3. So 100 by 3 into 3, that would be 100 by 9%. Okay. So this is my value. Rate percent would be 100 by 9, or you can say 1 by 9%. So these are some approaches that you will use while solving all the questions. We will see lots of questions. First one is that we will never use that formula P into R into T by 100, because that is not logical, first thing. And second, it may be calculative in some questions. Okay, we will always think that we will always use the approach that this approach. Yes, this approach, that 1 year SI is R percent of P. So for 3 years SI will be R into T percent of P. Okay, and second thing is that whenever we are concerned with finding rate percentage, then we will think that SI is what percentage of P. When both are given, principal and SI, then we will generally think in terms of that my given SI is what percentage of principal. Okay. Now these two techniques are sufficient to solve all the questions. Now I think we can safely go on to solving questions. These all things we have already discussed. This is nothing but same thing. A minus P is nothing but SI, right? So SI by principal. The same thing that we were discussing, that SI is what percentage of principal. That is always R into T percent, right? Now this thing is that this third formula, this you should always remember, that let's say principal is 100 rupees, okay, and rate percentage is 25%, and time is, let's say, 3 years. So someone asks you what is the amount. So amount would be, first think of SI. SI would be, in 1 year we have 25%, so in 3 years that would be 75%, right? Now principal is always 100%. Any number will be 100% of its value, and I am increasing 75%. So obviously amount will be 100 plus 75% of my principal. So that would be 175% of principal. Okay, that's what this formula is. This is not a formula. You can think of this logically, right? Now since because my rate percent is 25% for 1 year, so for 3 years that would be 75%. Now since that would be 75% increase on principal, so obviously I can say that this is nothing but 175% of principal rather than 2 steps. So what some people will do is they will first find 75%, then they will add on this value. There is no need to do that, right? Because you can add this value in percentage itself. Any number is 100% of itself. So principal, you can always say that 100%. Principal is 100%. Any increase over that, that would be generally for simple interest. You can always add that percentage. Okay. Okay, I think all the techniques are covered for solving questions. Now we can practice using questions. We can solve all the questions, various types of questions, and we will see how we can use all those techniques that we have done. Now the first question says, in how many years shall rupees 3,500 invested at the rate of 10% simple interest per annum amount to rupees 4,500? Okay, so we are given principal 3,500, we are given amount 4,500, we are given rate 10%, and we are concerned with finding t, right? In how many years? So we want to find time. Now from these two values, can you find simple interest? Obviously amount minus principal would be simple interest, right? So simple interest is 4,500 minus 3,500, that would be 1,000. Now one thing you can do is you can always use that formula, but that is not recommended here. We will use our logical approach. So SI is 1,000 and we know principal, right? So we will always think in terms of that my SI is what percentage of principal, right? SI is what percentage of principal. So 1,000 is what percentage of 3,500. So actually you can do this thing, and from here we will get 5,7,200. So this is 200 by 7%, right? And rate percent is given as 10%. Rate percent is 10%. So in 1 year, 10% interest. So in how many years? 200 by 7%. So I can divide this value by 10%, right? So 200 by 7 divided by 10, that would be 10 here. So we can cancel this out. So 20 by 7. So 20 by 7 years, that is my answer. So in mixed fraction, this would be 2, 7 into 2, 14, 6 remains 6 by 7. 2, 6 by 7 years. That would be the option. Okay. So I hope you understood the approach, that once we found out that my simple interest is 1,000 and we know these two values, principal and SI. So we always go the approach that my simple interest is what percentage of P, and then I can think in terms of rate percentage, that rate percent for 1 year is this much, 10%. So obviously that would be R into T percent for T time, for T years, right? So I can find from there. The simple interest on principal for 6 months at an interest rate of 10% per annum is rupees 100. What is the principal? Again, very easy question. See, 10% is for 1 year. And we know that this is always fixed for, you can apply unitary method on this, right? So for half year, 6 months, that is half year, right? So obviously this would be also get half. So 5%. Now simple interest is given 100. So 5% value is given as 100. So principal means 100%, right? So you have to find 100%. And now this is very easy. You want to multiply by 20. So you can multiply this by 20. So 2,000. B option. So you can see how fast this approach is and how logical as well. The ratio of principal and simple interest for 5 years is 10:7. Then the rate of interest per annum is. So we have principal by SI, that is 10:7, right? And T is 5 years. So we are concerned with rate percent. Now if I take reciprocal of this, so SI by P would be 7 by 10, right? Now as I've told you, always find SI is what percentage of P. So if I multiply this by 100, then I will get the percentage, right? So 70%. So SI is 70% of principal in 5 years. So if in 5 years I get 70%, so in 1 year would be 70 by 5, 14%. And as we have discussed, 1 year rate, whatever the percentage of interest in 1 year, that is the rate percentage, right? So 14%. So this was also very easy question. D. A certain sum amounts to rupees 12096 at 8% per annum in 5 1 by 2 years. That is 11 by 2. This is mixed fraction. Okay, so this is denoted as 5 1 by 2. This is 11 by 2 years. At simple interest, what will be the simple interest on the same sum at 10% per annum in 8 years? Okay. So we don't know the principal, but what we know is amount. Amount is 12096 in 11 by 2 years. What will the simple interest on the same sum at 10% per annum in 8 years? Okay. So can we find principal from here? So 8% in 1 year. So in 11 by 2 years, 44% of principal, right? So this value 12096 is nothing but 144%, right? This value, see, don't make a mistake here. This is amount, right? And as I've told you, 100 plus R into T percent is amount, right? So this 12096 is 100%, that is principal, plus this percentage, right? So 144%. So 144% value is given as 12096. And since I am concerned with finding principal, so I want 100% value, right? Now one thing you can do here is, we don't need to find principal here. We can directly find simple interest. Simple interest would be 10% in 8 years. That would be 80%, right? So we can directly find our answer. We can find 80% value from it. 80% value is what? Now one thing you can do is, you can take ratio of these two. So 16 into 9, 16 into 5. So if 9 into value is 12096, then what will be the value of 5? So 12096 by 9. This is unitary method, right? From 9, can you cancel this out? 15. So yes. So from 9 you can cancel them out. 133 1344 into 5. So 6500 and 220, 6720. That will be D. So I hope this method was clear to you. Otherwise you can go a long method, but this is a better method. Question number 5. When two equal amounts are deposited for 5 years and 3 years at rate of 7% and 9% per annum, the difference of their simple interest is 475. Then find the deposited amount. Okay. Now see, in such questions, that's why I told you, you should not use this formula. In such questions, you will always find very lengthy approach, right? But with that technique, we can always find such questions very fast. And we'll see how fast this is. There are two equal amounts are deposited for 5 years and 3 years. So both principal are same, okay? One is for 5 years and 7%. Another is for 3 years and 9%. The difference of their simple interest is 475. Now what will be the simple interest? For this one would be 5 into 7%, 35% of P. And for this one, 27% of P. Now since both have same principal, can I subtract them directly? So can I say that the difference is 8% of P, right? So 8% value is given as 475 and I want principal. So that is 100%, right? So 8% value is 475. Then what is the value of 100%? So we can calculate here 475 by 8 into 100. So what would be 4225? So 475 into 12.5. 475 into 12.5. So how can we calculate this fast? So let's say, can I write this as 10 plus 2.5? So this would be easy, right? I can simply multiply 4750 and this would be 1/4 of this portion. 4750 by 4. So this would be 1 3, 5, 3. No, I think we have made a mistake. So 4, 4, 7, 5, 0. 1 times 7, 1, 3, 5, 8, 32, 3, 0, and 7. 1187.5. 1187.5. If I add them, then 5, 7, 3, 9, 5. Right? 5937.50. 5937.50. So option B. So there was some calculation here, but otherwise this approach is very fast. Okay? This is only due to this value 12.5 multiplying this slightly lengthy. Okay, question number 6. A sum of 10,500 amounts to rupees 13825 in 3, 4 by 5 years at a certain rate percent per annum simple interest, but with the simple interest on the same sum for 5 years at double their earlier. Now this is a good question, and you might make a very long method for solving this question. Okay. So we have principal as 10,500, amount as 13825. So what is the SI? You can subtract this, right? So you will get 3325. So you know the simple interest. You know the time as well. So this is 3, 4 by 5. So 3, 4 by 5 mixed fraction. So if we solve this, then we get 19 by 5, right? So 19 by 5 years. So in 19 by 5 years, at some rate, let's say R%, I am getting 3325. So I am being asked, what will the simple interest of the same sum for 5 years at double their earlier rate? So on 5 years, 2R%, what would be my simple interest? So this is the question actually. Now it is better to use common sense here. What we will do is, if we know that R into T% of P is the interest, right? So if I multiply these two, then I will get 19 by 5. Let's multiply these two. So 19 by 5 R% is 3325, and this would be 10 R%, right? So R% is same in both. This R% is same in both. Now our focus is only on 19 by 5 and 10. The only difference is this. So we can apply unitary method here. Value of 19 by 5 is 3325. So what will be the value of 10, right? So 19 by 5 unit value is 3325. The question reduces to this one. And what is the value of 10 unit? This is the simple question. So divide by this 3325. Why 19 by 5? So we can say 5 by 19, right? And for 10 units, so we can multiply by 10. So will this get cancelled out? 1 times 42, 7, right? 7 times and 5. So 175 into 10 into 5. So 175 into 50. 0, 5, 5, 25 to 8750. 8750. Option B. Okay. So you can see how fast we solve this. If you go by long method, if you apply some other method, that will be very long one. Okay. So you will have to think in the approach of unitary method. Otherwise, this can create a problem for you. Now, what many people do is, they will first find rate. Okay. That what is the rate, and then they will find 2 times of that. But there is no need to find rate, right? Because rate percent is same in both, so we can obviously treat them as a constant value. Okay, question number 7. In how many years will the simple interest on a sum of money be equal to the principal? This is not LE principal at rate of 12 1 by 2% per annum. So the question says there is a principal P and there is SI, simple interest SI. In how many years will the simple interest on a sum of money will be equal to this? So this has to be equal, and rate percent is given as 25 by 2%. Okay, 12 1 by 2 will be 25 by 2%. Now if my principal is equal to simple interest, so can I say that simple interest is 100% of principal, right? Obviously, any value will be 100% of itself. So simple interest is 100% of principal. And we know that R percent is 25 by 2%. So in how many years? So T would be 100 by 25 by 2. These many years it will take. So 200 by 25, that would be 8%. Sorry, 8 years, not percentage. So option C. Okay. So this was an easy question. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, so this question you have to do yourself. I have put this as a homework question, right? So you solve this question and put it in comment section. Okay? The question says a sum of 1600 gives a simple interest of 252 in 2 years and 3 months. Then find the rate of interest per annum. This is a very easy question. Let me know in the comment section what is the answer. A sum doubles in 6 years at simple interest. In how many years will the sum become 4 times the original sum? So we have a sum principal and T at 6 years. It doubles in 6 years. It doubles in 6 years means SI is equal to principal, right? 100%. So if you are not understanding this, let's say as principal is P and it doubles. So 2P, amount is 2P. So what is the SI? SI is 2P minus P. That is P, right? So SI is equal to P. So again, SI is nothing but 100% of P. So for 100% of P, we take 6 years. Okay. So in how many years will the sum become 4 times the original sum? So let's say my principal is P. So 4 times. So 300% extra, right? So SI is 3P. If you subtract this, so it means that my SI is 3%. So sorry, 300%. So 300% of P. Now this is a unitary method question. For 100%, it takes 6 years. So for 300%, how much time it will take? 6 into 3, 18 years, right? So this is very easy question. C. Let's move on to the next question. A sum becomes 5 times of itself in 60 years at simple interest. In how many years will the sum become triple of the original sum? Again, similar type of question. A sum is there, it would become 5 times 5P. So SI is 4P, or can we say that 400%, right? So 400% in 60 years. In how many years will the sum become triple? So for triple, SI would be 2P. 2P means 200%. Now this is one of the easiest questions. 400% 60 years. So for half, 200%. Obviously, this would be also half. So 30 years. Option D. Right? So this was a very easy question. Okay, guys. Again, a similar type of question. A sum become 4 times of itself in 36 years of simple interest. How many times does the sum become in 72 years? So let's put this as a homework. Please solve this with the same approach that I've solved in the last 2 questions and put your answer in comment section. This would be one of the easiest questions. Okay, next question. Raghav invests a certain sum of money at certain rate of interest for 6 years. If the rate of interest was 3% less, he got rupees 540 less. Now here also we can use a logical way. See, focus on first year. In 1 year, 3% less. That's why I've used minus 3. Minus 3%. 3% less. 3% less SI is there, right? And we are investing this for 6 years. So this will be added up. So for 6 years, there will be 100%, 3 into 6, 18% less, right? 18% less value will be there. And that value we have already given, right? So 18% value is 54. And we have to find the sum. It means we have to find principal, that is 100%. Principal is also 100%. So 18% value is 54. It means I am doing 3 times. So here also we will do 3 times 100% into 3, that will be 300. Okay, I think we have done some mistake. Oh, it's not 3 actually. Sorry. 18%, this is 540 actually. This is not 54, this is 540. So 30 times, right? So here also you will do 30 times. 100% into 30. So 100 into 30, that will be 3000. Option D. So such questions are very easy. You can see This approach makes questions very easy. And if you try to use this P into R into T by 100, you will be always stuck. This will take you a lot of time and not logical as well. Surendra invests a certain sum of money at certain rate of interest for 15 years. If the rate of interest was 3% per annum more, then he got 405 more. Then find the sum. Again, a similar question, very easy. See, in 1 year 3% more, so in 15 years 45% more, and that value is given as 405. Find the sum. So you want 100% value. Now, this is one of the easiest questions. 40% value is given, and you have to find 100%. Unitary method, right? How will you solve it? You can solve this various approaches. So this is 9 times. So obviously you can do the same 9 times 900. Or what you can do is you can take ratio of these two. So 5, 9, 20. So 9 unit value is given 405. So 20 units. So 405 by 9 into 20. You can cancel this out. 4 times and 5 times. So 45 into 20, 900. So either way we got answer as 9. One of the easiest question you will find. Okay, this is a homework question. Now similar question. A sum becomes 13 times of itself in 19 years at simple interest. How many times does the sum become in 76 years? So please solve this and put it in comment section. Okay, the ratio of principal and amount is 5:6. After 6 years, the ratio becomes 2:3. Find the rate of interest. So we have principal and we have amount. 5:6. Let's say this is current time T. Let's say this is T. And T plus 6. After 6 years, we get 2:3. Now tell me one thing. Can principal change? Here we have 5 unit, here we have 2 unit. So basically principal is always fixed, right? So make them same. How can we make them same? The ratio is 10, so take both of them to 10, right? So we multiply this by 2 and this by 5. So you will get 10 is to 12 and you will get 10 is to 15. Okay. Principal and amount. Now here we have same principal 10. Now in 6 years, since the difference was 6 years, so in 6 years we got 3 unit of simple interest, right? Or you can say, what you can do is, what will be the simple interest here? 12 minus 10, 2 unit. And what will be the simple interest here? 15 minus 10, 5 unit, right? So what is the difference? 3 unit. So in 6 years, we got 3 unit of simple interest, right? So in 1 year would be 3 by 6, right? So half unit. And what is the principal? 10 unit. Okay. So half is what percentage of 10? That would be your rate of interest. So half is what percent of 10? So 10 by 2, that would be 5%, right? Option D. So I hope this is clear to you. This is slightly tricky if you are not comfortable with ratios, but otherwise this is not a hard question. Okay. Once you make principal same in both cases, then you can always deal with the simple interest. The only confusing part here is that we are dealing in the units, right? We are dealing in the units of ratios only. So there may be a confusion here, but if you look at the difference, that there is 3 unit difference, then you know that in 6 years we got 3 unit. So obviously in 1 year we will get half unit. And rate percent is always calculated on 1 year. So half is what percentage of principal? So principal is 10 units. Don't tell that principal is 1 unit, okay? Because principal is 10 units. So half is what percentage of 10? Then we calculate and we found that 5%. So I hope this is clear to you. Okay, so we discussed almost all type of questions which are frequently asked in competitive exams. Now one more thing you can do is, I have already made a video on previous year papers of CUET, right? CUET previous year questions chapter wise. So for simple interest, I have already covered. So you can go and check out my channel. So there is a playlist, I think CUET PG MBS previous year solutions, or even in video section you can find previous year papers of simple interest mutual fund. So there you go and you solve all those questions as well. Okay? There are not many questions. I think 3 or 4 questions are only there. So you can solve those questions as well. The only thing is that you should approach this way, not formula way. Okay, R into T percent is a better method. Think in terms of percentages. That will save you a lot of time. So I hope this chapter was clear to you and there was a quick revision for you and you will score good in the exam. I hope that. So let's meet in some other videos. We'll discuss more such topics. Thank you.